Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. We two friends fighting is exactly what our opponents around the world want to see.
Canada has long been the driving force behind North America's energy flow, fueling the U.S. with oil, natural gas, and critical minerals, like a main artery keeping the system alive. But now, the lines are shifting. Tariffs, political gridlock, and a surging global energy demand are redrawing the map. Canada is shifting out of its US-centric lane and picking up speed toward Europe and Asia. This move could redraw the playbook on global energy trade. Will this strategic realignment leave the US stuck at the starting line, or will it find a way to redraw the lines and stay ahead in the shifting energy landscape? Your go-to source for global shifts, Globelines, is back with another deep dive into the events that are redrawing the map. Let's break down the key reasons why Canada's bold move is sending shockwaves through the global energy market. Canada steps off the old tracks, chasing energy independence. For years, the US has ridden a smooth highway fueled by Canadian energy. Over half of its oil imports come from its northern neighbor, along with a near-total reliance on Canadian natural gas and uranium. This close-knit trade has been the guardrail, keeping prices steady and energy security locked in. But Canada is no longer content staying in the same lane. Trade disputes, tariffs, and shifting global alliances have pushed it to redraw the lines. Enter the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, a deal with the European Union that could reshape energy routes. If Canada successfully redirects its oil, gas, and mineral exports to Europe and Asia, the US might find itself with less leverage and fewer options in a market it once controlled. The trade war backfires, pushing Canada to redraw the lines. Washington's move to shield its energy sector with tariffs is starting to look like a miscalculation. Slapping a 25% tariff on Canadian goods and a 10% levy on oil, first under Trump and partly upheld by Biden, was meant to boost domestic production. But the real impact? Canada is redrawing the lines with new alliances, fueling up trade deals with the European Union and Asian markets, leaving the US with fewer cards to play. With the EU still scrambling from energy shortages and moving away from Russian supplies, Canada is now seen as a stable and reliable alternative. At the same time, Asia's growing demand for natural gas lines up perfectly with Canada's LNG boom. If this shift continues, the US could find itself on the sidelines, watching as its long-held energy leverage fades. Canada's LNG boom redraws the lines, rising as a global contender. If you thought the US had a lock on LNG exports, think again. Canada is drawing new lines to become a top 5 global LNG player, with 6 major West Coast projects in the works. This expansion is set to chip away at the US's market share, challenging its reign as an LNG powerhouse by sending exports straight to Asia. Canada is redrawing the lines as a key energy supplier for Japan, South Korea, and China, nations seeking secure and stable deals. The US has long used its LNG dominance to steer global prices, but Canada's move could shake things up, sparking a high-stakes battle for buyers. The race for energy dominance just gained a new player. Before we dive in, do us a favor. Hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us reach more viewers like you. Now, let's redraw the lines and move to our next point.
I can confirm that it was a colorful call, and it was also a very substantive call. We talked about a range of issues, of course, primarily the trade war that they have chosen to unjustly launch on Canada.
Right in the middle of breaking down this massive shift in global energy trade, a bombshell just dropped from President Donald Trump. In a surprise announcement, Trump revealed that the planned tariffs on Canada are being put on hold until next month. That raises a big question. Does Trump really plan to go through with these tariffs against America's northern neighbor? Or is he starting to feel the economic blowback at home? With markets already on edge over trade uncertainty, this move could be a sign that Washington is second-guessing its strategy as pressure mounts both domestically and internationally. Europe's crisis hits. Canada steps in. Europe's energy landscape is running on empty. Since 2022, its heavy reliance on Russian oil and gas has collapsed. Natural gas imports from Russia have plunged below 15%, down from nearly 40% before the Ukraine conflict. That's a massive gap, and Canada is redrawing the lines to fill it. With major projects like the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion and new LNG terminals on the East Coast, Canada is ramping up its export game to Europe. Canada's shift redraws the lines of global power. Canada's energy shift isn't just about economics, it's a geopolitical game changer. By expanding oil, gas, and electricity exports to Europe and Asia, Canada is redrawing the lines of its economic alliances and weakening Washington's hold on North American energy dominance. At the same time, U.S. energy demand is soaring, driven by aid-backed industries, booming data centers, and industrial expansion. The Trump administration pushed for stronger domestic energy production, but with Canada redirecting exports overseas, the U.S. may have to lean more on OPEC, a risky bet in an unpredictable market. Meanwhile, Canada is tightening energy ties with Germany, South Korea, and Japan, solidifying its status as a global energy powerhouse. If Washington doesn't rethink its trade game, it could lose long-term leverage and watch North America's energy influence fade on the world stage. The road ahead: can the U.S. keep pace, or will it fall behind? Canada's move to diversify its energy exports marks one of the biggest shakeups in global trade in decades, rivaling China's explosive rise as an oil importer in the early 2000s. The U.S., once the dominant force in North American energy, now stands at a crossroads. Mend trade ties or face a future where Canada plays by its own rules on the global stage. If Canada fully shifts toward Europe and Asia, the ripple effects on U.S. energy security and market dominance could be felt for years to come. The real question is, will the U.S. adapt to this changing landscape, or will it struggle to keep up in an evolving global energy market? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the U.S. will find a way back into the game, or are we witnessing the dawn of a new energy order? And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the biggest shifts in global energy and trade. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Globe Lines will be back with more expert takes on the moves reshaping the world economy.